Hey guys, it's Ty and welcome back to my channel. So today I am going to be doing something that I have not done in quite a while on my channel, and that is a book and movie review. So I've done this several times previously on my channel. They are older videos, so please do not judge me. I have evolved since then. But all of those reviews that I've done have been over Stephen King adaptations. But if you are interested, I will have my playlist linked down below so that you guys can check out those videos. But this is going to work the same. So I am going to give you guys a brief synopsis over the book Leave the World Behind by Rumaan Alam, and then I will go into talking about the movie and then give you guys my overall thoughts. So we're gonna go ahead and get started with the synopsis over this book. So Leave the World Behind follows this couple, Amanda and Clay, and their two teenage children, Archie and Rose. And so Amanda feels like that they need to get out of the city. They are currently living in New York. They need to get away, relax, and have some fun. So she books them this Airbnb right outside of the city. So the family goes there, they're enjoying themselves, and on their first night there, they receive a knock on the door from GH and his wife Ruth. And they are like an elderly black couple. They're like in their 60s, and he tells them that he actually owns this house. He was the one communicating with her in order for her to rent it, and they were leaving a concert and there was a blackout in New York. So they decided to come back to their home because they saw the lights on and they thought it would be a safe place for them to stay. Amanda is skeptical because, one, she doesn't think people like them could afford a nice house like this, and she's not really sure they are the owners, but Clay is like, no, don't worry about it, they can stay here. Amanda the next day gets some alerts on her phone about the blackout and some other messages that she couldn't really decipher, and so they realize that something really is going on out there in the world, and slowly but surely over the course of the story, the things out there are starting to affect them inside of this house. So that's all that I will say about the book. I am going to go ahead and jump right into the movie. There will be spoilers. There's going to be spoilers for the movie as well as the book. So if you guys do not want to be spoiled, I suggest you leave now, get caught up, and come back. But we're going to go ahead and jump right into the movie. So in the movie, it starts off just like the book. Amanda wakes up, she's packing their clothes. Clay wakes up and is like, what are you doing? And she says, hey, I think we need a break from life. So I booked us an Airbnb, and you and the kids, we're all gonna go. He agrees. The kids really don't have a choice. They go. And so they go to this Airbnb outside of the city, and they're having a good time, you know, chilling, relaxing. They decide to go to the beach. This is a little different from the book, but they decide to go to the beach. And while they're at the beach, Rose is looking out into the ocean, and she notices that there is this like ship that's getting closer and closer to the beach. Nobody really is paying Rose any mind until that ship is almost at the beach, and it actually crashes onto the beach, causing a panic. So they end up leaving, obviously, and they go back to the house or chilling. But then later on that night, they get a knock on the door, and in comes GH and his daughter, Ruth. So that is a huge difference between the book and the movie, because in the book, GH and Rose are an older married black couple. But in the movie, GH is the father of Ruth, who is like young adult age. She might be like 18, 19, 20, somewhere in that range. So he comes, he tells them the same story that they explain in the book, that they were at a concert, a blackout took place. He came to his house hoping, you know, that they would have power. They did. So he stopped and he wanted to stay at the house until they can figure out what was going on. Again, just like in the book, Amanda is really hesitant. She's kind of rude to them, and she says some rude things, especially to the daughter Ruth. And she just makes it very clear that she doesn't think their kind can, you know, have a house like this. And so Ruth is offended by it. GH is kind of brushing it off, and he tells them that he knows that he's interrupting their trip, but he would gladly give them some money back for what they spent on renting it. Clay is like, fine, whatever, and Amanda just goes along with it. The next morning, just like in the book, she wakes up to some text alerts about the blackout in New York, as well as some other messages that she couldn't decipher, but they quickly go away, and she is the only one that has seen these messages. So then they are trying to actually figure out what's going on. They start speculating about what's going on, and so GH decides that he is going to go try and talk to a neighbor. This did not happen in the book. So he goes out to his neighbor's house. He sees that there is a mess all over the front yard. The inside of their house is like messy. Everything is disarray. Some stuff is damaged. And then he goes out to the back, and their house like sits on a beach, but there has been a plane crash, and there is like debris from the plane. There is dead people all over the beach. And while he is like trying to run away, another plane crashes onto the beach. While he's dealing with that whole situation, Clay is out driving around trying to get back into town, which he's having trouble because the GPS doesn't work and they're not familiar with the area. He runs into a woman that only speaks Spanish. She's really panicked and he doesn't really know what she's saying. So he leaves her, and then he sees a plane, and it looks like stuff is like dropping out of the plane. This part did not happen in the book, but from the plane it's dropping these pamphlets that are in another language. And so GH makes it back to the house. Clay eventually makes it back to the house. He tells them about the pamphlets, shows them to everyone, but he doesn't tell them about the woman that he encountered. So this causes even more panic within the group because they're just like, what is going on? And they have no way of communicating with anyone because the Wi-Fi and the TV are out. So then we have this scene where Archie and Rose are going into the woods. She had noticed a lot of deer, like it was just like a herd of deer, and so she wanted to try to find them to show Archie. So while they are walking around in like the woods at the back of the house, Archie gets bit by a bug. That will come up later, but he gets bit by a bug, and we see him like pull the bug off his leg, and then they keep going. When they get back to the house, Amanda decides that she, Clay, and the children need to get out of here. Something is not right. And so they decide that they're gonna leave. This scene also did not take place in the book. So while they're going on the expressway, they realize that the expressway is like blocked off by like a whole bunch of cars, Teslas to be exact, that have like crashed into each other. She gets out of their car, she goes to inspect and realizes that nobody's driving these Teslas. They're self-driving Teslas. All of a sudden, when she is heading back to the car, there are more Teslas coming, and they have to like hurry up and get away because those Teslas are crashing into each other, basically blocking the expressway and preventing anyone from leaving. So they head right back to the house. While they're at the house, everybody is just kind of like chilling. We have Rose and Archie just kind of chilling around. We have this scene where Amanda and GH are talking. He's kind of giving her some background about his job. And there's even a moment where, you know, like he makes her laugh, her tensions about having them go away. They're like dancing. Did not happen in the book. We also get the scene where Clay and Ruth are kind of just chilling out by the pool. And then all of a sudden, they notice that there are flamingos like dropping down into the pool. That's weird because they're not in an area where flamingos should be, but that is what they see. The next morning, Archie wakes up. The night before, he had like a bit of a fever, but he wakes up, he says he's feeling fine. Amanda is kind of giving him like this side eye because he doesn't really seem fine. He feels something isn't right in his mouth, and he starts pulling out his teeth like one by one. Amanda is disgusted, Clay is disgusted, I'm disgusted because this dude is like pulling out his teeth. That did happen in the book, but he does mention that he got bit by that bug, and they think maybe the bug bite is what's causing him to feel sick and causing his teeth to fall out. I've never heard of anything like that, but that's what they speculate. So GH and Clay decide to take Archie to GH's neighbor's house, Danny. And Danny comes out with a shotgun. He is like, I don't want to help you guys at this point. You know, we're all on our own. He kind of like figured something like this was going to happen. So him and his family are prepared because at the beginning of the movie, while Amanda was getting supplies for their little trip, she saw him stocking up on water. So that's the same guy, and he is like, we're prepared, I'm not about to help you. So they end up being able to bribe him into giving some medicine to Danny to help him, because they still don't really know why the heck his teeth are falling out of his mouth. So while GH and Clay are talking to Danny and trying to get Archie all figured out, Rose had went missing and nobody can seem to find out where this little girl went. So Ruth and Amanda stayed behind. They kind of had like a little moment, because throughout this whole entire movie, Amanda and Ruth had a lot of tension. They just did not like each other for whatever reason. And so they kind of have a little moment, but all those deer that Rose saw earlier come back, and it's even more. And so Ruth and Amanda have to like scare off these deer. It's kind of funny. Probably is not supposed to be funny, but I giggled a little bit at this part, because they're like screaming and hollering and jumping around, and the deer was like, never mind, and they got out of there. So they're still calling for Rose. Rose is not answering. So while Amanda and Ruth are trying to fight off these deer, and while they're looking for Rose, we have this moment with GH and Clay in the car, and GH is telling him that he works for the military and he was working for this client who basically explained to him that something like this was coming, and that there was 3 different stages of what is actually going on in this world. So while they're having that talk, Amanda and Ruth are still looking for Rose. Rose, on the other hand, is just chilling. She done found this neighbor's house, and she's in there eating up all their snacks because nobody is home. And she eventually finds a bunker that they had down in their basement. And in that bunker, they have tons of water, they have tons of canned food, they had a huge generator. So whoever lived in that house knew that something like this was going to happen, and they were prepared for it, but for whatever reason, those people were not at home. So Ruth also finds a TV that had a whole bunch of DVDs, and one of the DVDs that she finds is the last season of Friends. Throughout this whole movie, once the Wi-Fi and the TV stopped working, Rose was devastated, because she was in the middle of watching Friends and she just had to know what happened at the end. So throughout the whole movie, she's like worried about not being able to watch the last episode of Friends. So when she's in this house, she sees that they have all of the seasons, and she puts in the DVD and starts watching Friends. We get this shot of Amanda and Ruth being able to see the city from the woods, and see all of these like bombs and explosions in the city, and then the movie goes off. So that is the adaptation for Leave the World Behind. So I really enjoyed the movie. I thought it was really fast paced, especially because this movie is 2.5 hours long. And so there was a lot going on. The main thing that I really enjoyed about this movie is that we got glimpses of what was actually happening in the world. So that time where GH went to the neighbor's house and there was like a plane crash, and then when Clay was out and he saw, you know, the plane dropping pamphlets down, and he also didn't see anybody else, so that was weird. We saw the pile up on the expressway. We got that glimpse of Amanda and Ruth when they were able to see the bombs going off in the city. So even though these people were like isolated inside of the house, we had these scenes where we could kind of guess what was going on in the world. In the book, it wasn't like that. So we basically are just watching these people in this house panic, and we are getting a lot of like their inner thoughts and just seeing what they were doing throughout the days, and it made the story a little boring. There were a couple of times when there might have been like a mention of what was going on, but it wasn't a lot, and it didn't really give you a lot to go on. The only thing where we knew for sure something was happening in the outside is when Clay got sick, because he also got sick in the book. He also lost his teeth in the book. So that was only the really explanation that we got in regards to something that's going on. So I love how the movie was able to include visuals of that. I also just didn't like the characters. I did not, enjoy any of them enough in the book to want to just be reading their thoughts. So that also made the story a little boring. And I did not like the character of Amanda. I did not like her in the book, and I did not like her in the movie. In the movie, she did grow on me a little bit because she eventually opened up. But in the book, we never really got to see that. She was just really standoffish toward GH and Ruth, and she was just saying a lot of little things, especially because they were Black and they had this nice house, and she just really didn't think that they would be able to afford something like this. So I definitely didn't like her inner thoughts. And then the book itself, I just thought it was really slow and it was really boring. And like I said before, I just really wish that we would have gotten some scenes about what was going on in the outside world. Now, I would highly recommend the movie over the book. I just think a story like this is better told visually than it is just sitting and reading it. But if you are someone that wants to read the source material, by all means do that. But I think the movie is way better than the book. So I hope that you enjoy this type of video. Please let me know down in the comments whether or not you would recommend the book or the movie, or if you have not seen either, let me know if I have convinced you to, or if you have, let me know your thoughts on either the book or the movie. But that is all that I have for you guys, and I will see you guys next time. Bye.